Good morning, Year 3. It is week 6, last week of term, and it is Monday, the 8th of February. We are starting a new unit this week of Work for Our English. We're going to look at diary writing. So I've got some really nice, we've got a really nice example of a diary or a jungle log that we are going to read to begin with. And then we're going to talk about the features of a diary so that we can then, later on in the week, write our own diaries. So lots of different activities this week. Before we look at this, I want to talk about the sounds right. So we're still looking at the same sound as last week, the or sound. Obviously the or sound, as I put on the planner, has a lot of different ways of spelling it. Last week you looked at 5 of those ways. So you should have a sheet from last week completed for 5 of the different columns or areas of the grid. This week, tomorrow, I think on Tuesday, for your Sounds Right activity, you need to look at the other ways that we have for spelling that sound. So make sure you've got your Sounds Right grids for the week from last week, okay? So that's your Sounds Right. With your English, let's get started. So first of all, to get you going, I'm going to ask you to go to BBC Bitesize and to click on the first video by Michael Rosen. It looks like this. Do not do the second video, do not watch the second video or worry about doing the additional activities. You don't need to do any of that. I simply want you to hear what this man has to say. It's a really good clip all about diary writing. He refers to it as a recount because that's effectively what it is. A diary is a recount of something that you have done, somewhere where you've been. You're talking about something that's happened. So with that in mind, next teaching slide, I have saved onto the website a copy of this poster, How to Write a Diary, and you'll see it's got all the key features. So the main features of a diary are up here, the success criteria if you like. So, for example, writing in first person using I or we, following a diary style. So you might write Dear Diary if you're doing it as a jungle log, which we are this week. We won't necessarily write Dear Diary. What we will do instead is we will write the date and refer to it as a jungle log. Colloquial language, that just means that we don't need to worry about formal language. It's almost as if we are chatting to ourselves when we write in a diary. So it can be quite informal and chatty. Chronological order, you will start with the things you did first thing in the morning, for example, and you will go through the order of events. So you're almost retelling what you did that day. Self-reflection, it's nice if you can get a few thoughts in there, a few comments like, oh, it was the best day ever. Or, oh, you wouldn't believe who I saw when I was there. Little comments like that just show that you're thinking about making it a little bit more exciting for others to read. Give your opinions. Of course, it's in past tense, so our verbs are going to be past tense because they are things, it's something that we've already done. Detailed descriptions, that would be great if you can use all that wonderful descriptive knowledge that you have to describe what you can see, particularly as we're going to be in the jungle this week. So I'm hoping that you can refer back to the lovely work you did last week where you created your own picture of a jungle and funny, interesting, amazing, wonderful things that you might see there. So keep that. That's handy for you as you go through the week, just to remind yourself of what you need to do. If I scroll down to our jungle log, you have seen this already, so I'm not going to read it through, but what I can do is just draw your attention to the order. That's what I want to do really. If we look at the paragraphs, separate paragraphs, the first paragraph is talking about today's been an amazing day. I woke up early, I packed my rucksack, I made sure my camera was working, I left the camp. So the first paragraph is really an introduction almost to the day and what's happening. So the second paragraph, as we look down, begins with one of our time words. First, I trudged or I walked, I went through the forest, I did this, that smelt like ice cream, one insect looked like this. This is where you can put your description and your details. So the second paragraph, this is where the explorer is coming across strange looking animals or insects and having their experiences, so different events. So 1 or 2 events in this paragraph. If we move to the 3rd paragraph, again we start with one of our time words or phrases. So after a short tea break, I measured the circumference of the tallest trees. So this paragraph also continues to list through some of the events that the explorer did that day. Got some nice adjectives in here: a beautiful plunge pool, purple sunbeams, lovely verbs like soaking up. So yeah, have a think about words that you can use when it comes to you writing your own jungle log. For now though, let's just focus on the structure of it. So moving on to the 4th paragraph, beginning with the time word finally, so we're in order. This is the chronological order of events. Finally, I headed back to camp because the sun began to set. It sets quickly and I was worried I might get lost. All of this is in the past tense. We can see first person being used. We can see description and detail in the colloquial language, so the chatty kind of language that we've got. I'm really looking forward to where my wardrobe will take me next week. It's really nice and chatty. So I can already see lots of examples in this text of the features we looked at on our diary. So if we go back, look at our diary examples. Descriptions, first person, diary style, colloquial language, chronological order, self-reflection, past tense, all good. What we're going to move on to is completing our planning sheet, ready for writing our own diary entry. So this planning sheet really is encouraging you to follow and copy what the explorer has done in his jungle log. So we are going to follow the same format with an opening paragraph about starting the day. Then we're going to say, what did we have to do before we set off? Well, I needed to remember to pack my rucksack, take a water bottle, or whatever that might be. Then we move into our events. We've got 4 events. So these are just the main things that happened whilst we were exploring. So it might be we saw a strange animal. Next, we stumbled into a muddy bog. After a short break, we realised that we couldn't find our way back. Following that, we found the path we were looking for. And then the last bit at the bottom, round off your report. So I have completed one of these, and I'm going to go through it in a separate video coming up so that I can show you what I've done to plan ready for my jungle log that I will write tomorrow. Okay, so take a look at that. The other thing I need to talk to you about today, being Monday, is our word of the week. So our word of the week is quirky. It's on your weekly planner. It means something unusual or something peculiar. So it's an adjective to describe something or someone. I've managed to sneak it into my planner that I'm about to show you now. Okay, so let's take a look at this plan. So I think the first thing you want to do is to come up with 4 different events, things that you have done or seen when you're in the jungle. I think that will help you then go on to complete the plan. So the things that I came up with for myself, I thought that one of the things I wanted to talk about was cutting a path through the jungle. The second event that I want to talk about is a staring contest that I have with an unknown animal, or a lemur as I find it out to be. My third event or thing that I'm going to be talking about is my encounter with an exploding frog. My last event, my 4th event, is going to be thinking about how I nearly forgot my way back. So I had a forgotten route back. So those are my 4 events. If we then take a look at what this looks like on the plan. So the first box is just asking you to come up with some ideas of like an introduction really. So you might say something like, today was the best day ever, or you wouldn't believe what I saw today, or I made the most amazing discovery today, something like that. And I've talked in here, I said I've seen animals I've never seen before, and I feel so hopeful for this trip. So that's my introduction. My next paragraph I've put in blue here. So it says what you did before you set off. So that's really going to be a list of things that you've done. For example, putting on your backpack, getting your water bottle ready, packing your lunch. I decided to put a nice noun phrase in there. I've talked about before I entered the bright, vivid green of the jungle. I put on my backpack. Really simple, just a couple of sentences really. In your boxes, you may well just want to do some bullet points, some phrases. I chose to do sentences because I wanted to have a little go at varying the start of my sentence as well. Event 1, I wanted to talk about cutting a path, I said, so I've just done a little bit of description. I found it hard to make my way through because of vines, mud bogs and stinging plants. When I come to write my jungle log, I will of course add extra detail to that idea. Event 2 was about feeling as though I was being watched and then entering into a staring contest. I felt two beady eyes looking at me. I looked up and saw a long tail and a quirky looking lemur. We had a staring contest, exclamation mark. So I'm already getting my ideas together as to what I might write for my second event. My third event was all about the exploding frog, I decided. So I put in a sentence starter of after an eternity of staring, I uncovered a large, slimy, bright purple frog. It croaked and then exploded, exclamation mark. Don't forget to use punctuation in your work. My last event that is worthy of talking about is I started with, following that unexpected event, I realised that I had forgotten to leave markers along my path, meaning that I had forgotten to leave a trail that I could return and follow, that I could follow on my return. However, my last paragraph here in blue, I've put after a long and worrying trek, comma, retracing my steps, I finally found my way back to camp. Now I would of course continue to put a lot more detail in when I come to write my log. So these are just reminders for me of my main events and things that I want to include. I hope that makes sense for you and that you can do something similar. Okay everybody, I hope you found that useful. I think you can come up with some brilliant fun events. I'm sure last week you were asked to just start thinking about things that might happen if you were exploring. Hopefully you can use some of those ideas and complete your own sheet ready for tomorrow. For those of you who could be coming into school tomorrow, please remember to bring your sheet. That would be really useful. Right, enjoy and I will see you tomorrow. Take care everybody, bye bye.